Hello and welcome to Let's Breathe Together. It is October 4th, 2020, the weirdest year in the history of all years. And I am just really looking forward to taking this time to come back to simple presence. Simply present is the topic of our session today. And it's just so important to me right now to stay acquainted with presence, with what's true and real here and now. Also, I just think the more that you practice attuning with presence instead of all the other dragonflies and butterflies and crickets and buzzing noises around you, the more skilled you are at moving with like a lot of grace through this life and behaving the way you want to in any number of challenging situations. So today's all about simple presence. And let's start by just taking a few breaths and arriving together. So make yourself really comfortable. I'm sitting cross-legged on my couch. You might be sitting on a chair. You might be sitting on the floor. Sit however you feel comfortable. And make any little wiggles or adjustments to enhance your comfort. And then just lightly close your eyes and tune in. And notice the rhythm of your breath here and now today. Just noticing how you're breathing. Notice the inhale, notice the exhale. And let's all, here we are across the world, but yet we're joined in together at the same time. Let's breathe together. So together, let's all inhale through the nose and exhale out the nose. Inhale through the nose. Exhale out the nose. And one more inhale through the nose. And exhale out the nose. And finally, just feel into what brings you here today. Of all the things you could be doing and places you could go, what brings you here to this call, to this gathering today? Trust it. Trust it. So the first thing I want to offer up today, in terms of just ideas to bring to this practice to support us becoming more present, is actually, I want to bring up the first 4 Yoga Sutras. As many of you know, I went on a little vision quest about 3 weeks ago. I spent 3 days up in Idlewild, which is a kind of very high elevation mountain town in the San Gabriel Mountains. And I rented a little camping spot in the woods. And I intended to fast for a full 3 days to only drink water. I wound up going 2.5 and getting really strong cues from my body that I needed to eat. So at 4 a.m. on the last night, I got up and was sitting out in a lawn chair under the stars and ate an apple. But I did 2.5 days of fasting and these 3 days of being by myself in nature and sleeping outside. And I did it very much because I wanted to return to my essential nature and get very clear information what I should be focusing on and prioritizing at this time in my life. I have felt very overwhelmed sometimes and pushed and pulled by what's going on in the news, by what's going on in the world. And when I reflect on that, it's really my thoughts about all that. So I choose what news I'm taking in, I choose what messages I hear, and I cobble together a concept of reality that then either works for me or is hard for me. And then I make choices based on that concept of reality, based on my thoughts. And what I have found is when I get silent, when I get empty, when I get really present, there is a path for me that's very clear going forward. And so it's not so much that I need to do a lot of thinking to know what it is. I need to do a lot of clearing the decks, and then it becomes clear. This is what the universe wants to do with you next, Kylie. So in that presence, in that intense presence of that experience, I got like the biggest download, like, you need to teach yoga again. I haven't taught for over a year. I needed a break from it. And it was very clear, like, it's time for me to come back and teach some yoga. So I'm teaching this yoga challenge, going through the election, 25 yoga classes that starts tomorrow. But as I've been preparing for that and really welcoming yoga back in and being like, okay, fine, I admit it. Like, there's a reason I've taught thousands of yoga. I literally got the call, a voice in my head saying, I want to give my life to yoga about 11 or 12 years ago. So as I've immersed back in the teachings, I just returned, thinking of today, to the first 4 sutras, which are so powerful and so relevant to today. So here are the first 4 sutras of the Yoga Sutra of Patanjali, which is basically the instruction manual to awakening via yoga. This is written maybe 2,000 to 5,000 years ago. It's a little unclear when the original draft of the sutras was written. So Yoga Sutra number 1, I'll say them in English, is simple. Now, the teachings of yoga. And the now part is really relevant in that it's happening now. It's like a call to the present moment. Now, the teachings of yoga. Yoga Sutra number 2 is yoga is to still the patterning of consciousness. So yoga is, it's called chittas vrittis, they call it in Sanskrit, but yoga is to still the patterning of consciousness. It means all the mental activity stills. Yoga Sutra number 3, and these are Chip Hartranft's translations, FYI, is then pure awareness can abide in its very nature. Then pure awareness can abide in its very nature when you've stilled the patterning of consciousness, the excessive thinking. Otherwise, this is number 4, otherwise awareness takes itself to be the patterns of consciousness. So otherwise we mistake our true self for our thoughts, our mental construction of reality. Our mental construction of reality, according to the sutras, comes second. The mind is a sense, it's a tool to get us through life, but it doesn't accurately reflect reality. So the practice of yoga is to still the patterning of consciousness so awareness can abide in its true nature instead of think that it's the thinking. Let's breathe together. Find your seat. Feel your spine. Feel our connection, your connection to me, connection to these other people. And inhale smoothly through the nose. Exhale out the nose. Inhale. And exhale. And inhale. And exhale. And then just take a little longer here to stay tuned in and really see what you know about presence. Can you feel and find presence right now? It comes before the mind. So the one of a helpful way to actually move closer to presence is to see the content of thought. And that's one reason why it's so popular to bring awareness to thought in a lot of meditation traditions and awakening traditions, because when you are aware of mental activity, you realize that it's not you. The awareness of it shows that it's not you, it's something happening in your field. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's fun to think, it's fun to plan. Your mind is designed to optimize and everything. So there's nothing wrong with it, but we're practicing simple presence today. So the next thing I want to invite you to do is to notice the content of your mind. And we did an exercise like this recently, which is just naming thoughts. And it gets really tiring when you're on a silent retreat and you see those thoughts over and over and over again. But now we'll just do a simple exercise to notice the contents of your mind. So you all have interesting, dynamic lives. I'm sure you have work things you're working on, plans you're working on for your home, relationships happening, family stuff happening, maybe health stuff happening. So there's probably a lot of thought happening around those big topics in your mind. Now, what I want to invite you to do is just name those thoughts for yourself here in an introspective self-inquiry practice. So again, here you are in your seat. Close your eyes. And first, just notice the rhythm of your breath. And I'm going to count the breath for you so you can find just more of a steadying rhythm, and that'll help us notice when the thoughts come and stand out even more. So first you're noticing the breath. And then let's all inhale, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 3, 2, 1. 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 Now keep breathing. Keep your eyes lightly closed if that's okay with you. And then anytime a thought comes up that takes you out of the focus on the breath, just name, either in your own mind or you can even say it out loud, thought about X. Thought about picnic on the beach. Thought about argument with family member. Stay with the breath, and then when a thought arises, name it for yourself. And go on for a little bit here. And then just let that practice go. And reconnect here. And we're going to just do some very simple movements and stretches to basically bring us into the present a little bit more through our body before the next introspective exercise. So by feeling the sensations of the body, it has a remarkable way of bringing you here and now. So let's, in your seat, rest your hands on your knees, and you can probably do that whatever kind of seat you're in. If your knees feel far away, you can rest your hands a little higher on your thighs. So they can either be down by your knees or they can be closer up your thighs, because I don't want you to slouch forward. So whatever position helps you be upright still. Okay. Now, with your hands resting, inhale. And exhale, curl your chin to your chest. Inhale, lift your face up. Exhale, curl your chin to your chest, shoulders heavy. Inhale, lift your face up. Exhale, curl your chin in. Inhale, lift your face up. Exhale, curl your chin in. Now, roll your right ear to your right shoulder. Chin to chest. Left ear to left shoulder. Chin to chest. And continue this rocking right to left, feeling the stretch in and around the neck. Keep your spine long, your shoulders heavy, and study the sensations of the present moment. It helps give us, when we give ourselves a little something to focus on, a little more than the breath, it makes it a little easier to be present sometimes. One reason you like extreme sports like rock climbing, extreme sports force us into the present, which is one reason there's such a high around doing them. And then curl your chin back to your chest and lift your face up. Reach your arms up toward the ceiling and bend your elbows and see if you can hold opposite elbows and just push your elbows up. And your hands might be kind of forward, or your elbows might be forward. That's totally cool. Just create, wherever you are, create the stretch, push up and reach more up with your left elbow. You can turn your face a little bit to the left, feel the stretch, feel the sensations here. And then reach more up with your right elbow. You can turn your face to the right a little, feel the stretch, feel the sensations here. And then bring your arms back down to your sides. Let your shoulders rest and just close your eyes and notice how you might sense your neck, your shoulders a little more. And let's take 3 breaths together. Inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. Okay, so the next thing I want to share with you is from one of my all-time favorite teachers, Thich Nhat Hanh. This is The Miracle of Mindfulness, this book. Of course, mindfulness is a very popular idea nowadays. Mindfulness is essentially presence, and I'm going to read you a couple quotes about it. This book is loaded with presence. Have you ever had that experience of like reading something and the book actually feels alive? This book, Thich Nhat Hanh, he's a Vietnamese monk, and he had the monastery in Vietnam during the Vietnam War. And at that time, his teachings about peace and presence were so threatening to the country's government that he actually got ostracized from the country. He got kicked out. He went to France, and from there, he sent a series of letters back to his cousins who were still running the monastery, even though it was very threatened. There were even monks that were murdered at it. He sent a series of letters back of how to practice mindfulness to them. This book is a translation of those letters he sent back to his cousin. Now, it's also translated by Moby Ho, who spent several years with him, so was really in the presence of Thich Nhat Hanh, and it's pregnant, this book, with presence itself. So I just love this book. I can look at it and feel more present. So there's a big pitch for this book if you want a great book about mindfulness. Here's a couple simple quotes for us. So he says, I use the term mindfulness to refer to keeping one's consciousness alive to the present reality. So isn't that a helpful explanation of mindfulness? Keeping one's consciousness alive to the present reality. What are the facts of now? The present reality. Not having your consciousness co-opted by the patterns of consciousness, like the Sutras said. Now on the next page, this gets a little more inspirational. So he calls it, of course, the Miracle of Mindfulness, this book. And he says, and this is just a great way to feel presence coming through him. I like to walk alone on country paths, rice plants and wild grasses on both sides, putting each foot down on the earth in mindfulness, knowing that I walk on the wondrous earth. In such moments, existence is a miraculous and mysterious reality. People usually consider walking on water or in thin air to be a miracle. But I think the real miracle is not to walk either on water or in thin air, but to walk on earth. Every day we are engaged in a miracle which we don't even recognize. A blue sky, white clouds, green leaves, the black, curious eyes of a child, our own two eyes. All is a miracle. And when people speak of awakening or enlightenment in many of these traditions, it's not that suddenly, you can walk on water, walk on thin air. It's like suddenly it is revealed that this which you're experiencing right now, you as you are right now, is holy shamoli, already miraculous. There's a vitality to this moment that is beyond. What more could you possibly want? Besides maybe an ice cream sundae, but that's just your stomach wanting that. So I want to invite you to, again, tune in, and this time tune in with. So look around your space, and each of you are in a poem right now. And some of you, you write me emails every once in a while, and your emails are like freaking poems, like your emails about the simple stuff in your life that you're experiencing and processing. And what I want to invite you to do right now is look around your space and see the miracle of your space right now. Plays of light, objects of furniture, textures. Maybe we should do a poetry week one week and let's breathe together, because when you choose your words, just how to describe things in a way that is just specific and poignant, you see that you're living in a poem already. You know what I mean? The good stuff and the icky stuff. It can become so beautiful when just represented by simple words. So anyway, that's a quote from Thich Nhat Hanh. And now, I want to do another breathing practice with you, and then I have a really cool exercise to share with you from this book, The Way of Freedom. So in yoga practice, pranayama, breath practices, are considered a very powerful way to awaken and enliven your life force, your vitality. And they're also a way to bridge the outer world and the inner world. So on the path, the 8 yoga, you know, it goes from how you behave, how you think, to how you sit, to how you breathe, to how you internalize your attention, to then how you connect and merge with all things around you. Pranayama, breath practices, are an important part of that. So we'll do a simple practice today. I want you to get really jacked on oxygen and also jacked on detox, which is a strong exhale. So we're going to do a 3-part inhale and a 3-part exhale. So to practice this, you can rest your hands really wherever you want, but make sure you have an upright spine so that your ribs have lots of space to let breath in. And then we'll begin by using our hands to mimic this breath, and then we'll rest our hands and keep finding it in our body. So bring your hands out in front of you about rib cage distance apart. And begin to breathe into your ribs. And as you do, on the inhale, let your hands get a little wider. And on the exhale, let your hands come a little closer. So it's almost like your fingers are your ribs. Mimicking the breath. And then on your next inhale, inhale 1/3 full, moving your hands out, and pause. Inhale another third, pause. Inhale a little more, hands wider, pause. And first, exhale all the way out in one long exhale. We'll do 3-part on both ends pretty soon. Then inhale 1/3, pause. Another, pause. Another, pause. Exhale down to 0. Inhale a third. Another. Another. Exhale down to 0. Now this time, inhale all the way full. And exhale 1/3 out. Exhale another third. Exhale down to 0. Very different. Inhale, fill up. Exhale a third. A third. Down to empty. Inhale all the way to the top. Exhale a third. A third. Empty. Let your hands rest. Inhale 1 full inhale. 1 full exhale. And with your hands resting, inhale 1/3 full. Another third. Another third. Pause. Exhale 1/3. Another third. Another third. Empty. Inhale 1/3. Another. To the top. Exhale 1/3. Another. To the bottom. Take 3 more rounds on your own timing. 3-part inhale, 3-part exhale. And just return to a nice, smooth, native breath. Doesn't it feel so good to just breathe organically after doing a breathing technique? There's just like something so yummy about it. Okay, so this teacher, his name is Salvador Poe, and he's a really cool teacher. He's very little known. I haven't met anyone else organically who's heard of him. He was a musician much of his life, and he was also an addict. He was a drug addict and an alcoholic, and he had a really kind of stunning experience once in the East Village many years ago, where he had a big bender the night before, and he felt terrible. And I think what happened was he wasn't like a prayer, but before he went to sleep in the morning, he like prayed for help or something. Like, I could be wrong, but I think something like that happened. And he went to sleep suddenly, which was unlikely given all the drugs in his system. And when he woke up, he was what's often called struck sober. So he suddenly didn't want his lifestyle anymore. And he wound up seeking spiritual books, going to India for 8 years, meditating his face off, and then finally having this awakening experience. And, it was not at all what he expected. And it wasn't all the spiritual experiences he had had. It was just simple presence resounding with truth. And so sometimes I have a couple of his books. Sometimes I tune in live. He leads bi-weekly teachings. And this book is called The Way of Freedom, and it's transcriptions from his talks. And one of his big teachings is to have a holiday. So you're going through your life. Your thoughts are all over the place. You think you need to do that. You think you need to do this. Your nervous system is doing what it's doing. And you pause and do what he says, have a holiday, which basically means you just stop everything and become exquisitely present. And so I'm going to read to you a very simple holiday from his book. So let's do it together. So eyes are open for this. Eyes are open. You're just here. You're not doing anything contrived, or you don't even need to have good posture. You're just here doing you, being the animal that you are. And don't focus on anything in particular. So have a look around and don't focus on anything in particular. Let attention be open. In this work, we're not attempting to find any objects. We are knowing the knowing itself. You know that you are here, aware. You know, I exist. I am this knowing that is before, during, and after all thoughts and appearances. I am this knowing that is before, during, and after all appearances. Are you separate from this knowing? This knowing is your source, your essential being. It is you. Just notice the effect of those words in your consciousness. Let's breathe together. Inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. Okay, so I want to offer you one more practice from one of these books I'm bringing in today. And I think it's really cool because it spins off of that super simple holiday that Salvador Poe offered us. And it's another Thich Nhat Hanh from the Thich Nhat Hanh book. It's a practice called the contemplation of feeling. So I want to invite you to do this both either with your eyes closed or open, however you prefer. And before we do it, feel free to do any simple just stretching or wiggles. Like I've been in a cross-legged seat. Need to wiggle my knee out for a while. Just do any movements that help get the blood back in your body. Any little stretches. I know some of you are taking my Wide Awake Yoga Challenge. I'm really excited because we're going to get to do all kinds of physical practices and poses. I want to show you. I was setting up my my yoga studio this morning. It's going to be over there in the kitchen area. I took the kitchen table out. So if you are curious about doing more physical yoga practices with me, it starts tomorrow. So excited. It's like when you do restrictive breath for a long time or when you fast, it just feels so good to take an inhale or eat an apple. It's like I haven't taught for so long. I feel like it's built up inside me, the excitement of teaching like full yoga classes. Okay. Now Thich Nhat Hanh. So find your seat, eyes open or closed. The contemplation of feeling. So your mind is going to interpret these words, but feel these words with your presence, with your body. Recognize them as, trying to use skillful words here in how I say this, but as your potential truth too. So it's not like this is Thich Nhat Hanh's truth. It's like, this is a reminder of what you already know, okay? So he, they identify as monks, the people in his community. So he's referring to monks and what monks do, basically to practice mindfulness, but, think of yourself as the monk in this situation. So here we go. The contemplation of feeling. And how, monks, does a monk live contemplating, feeling his feelings? Herein, monks, a monk, when experiencing a pleasant feeling, knows, I experience a pleasant feeling. When experiencing a painful feeling, the monk knows, I experience a painful feeling. When experiencing neither pleasant nor painful feeling, the monk knows, I experience a neither pleasant nor painful feeling. When experiencing a pleasant worldly feeling, the monk knows, I experience a pleasant worldly feeling. When experiencing a pleasant spiritual feeling, the monk knows, I experience a pleasant spiritual feeling. When experiencing a painful worldly feeling, no, I experience a painful worldly feeling. I feel like that's pretty relevant right now. When experiencing a painful worldly feeling, no, I experience a painful worldly feeling. When experiencing a painful spiritual feeling, no, I experience a painful spiritual feeling. When experiencing a neither pleasant nor painful worldly feeling, no, I experience a neither pleasant nor painful worldly feeling. When experiencing a neither pleasant nor painful spiritual feeling, no, I experience a neither pleasant nor painful spiritual feeling. Thus, the monk lives contemplating feelings in feelings internally, or lives contemplating feelings in feelings externally, or lives contemplating feelings in feelings internally and externally. The monk lives contemplating origination factors in feelings, or lives contemplating dissolution factors in feelings, or lives contemplating origination and dissolution factors in feelings. Or the monk's mindfulness is established with the thought, feelings exist. To the extent necessary just for knowledge and mindfulness. And the monk lives detached and clings to naught in the world. Thus, monks, a monk lives contemplating feelings in feelings. So much of the mindfulness practice is when eating an orange, no, I am eating an orange. When taking a sip of coffee, no, I am taking a sip of coffee. When driving down the road in a rage, no, I am driving down the road in a rage. It's not trying to jump into and meddle with the present moment. It's identifying more as the awareness of the present moment than the content of it. Just as the sutra says, yoga is to still the patterning of consciousness, then pure awareness can abide in its very nature. Otherwise, awareness takes itself to be the patterns of consciousness. And ironically, I've found the more I pull back and live as awareness, the more free the wild pony that Ariel is gets to run and live her life. It's not a muting of the Ariel character. It's a like, hey, I'm consciousness. Do your thing, girl. Open the gate, run, gallop away. What are you going to do next? I don't know. So let's just finish. I want to connect back with you because this has been a very like teachings heavy less gathering. I'm curious kind of what you're experiencing. But first, let's just come back really simple together to breathe together. And my invitation to you is to just simply know presence. You already know it. You didn't need to come here. I'm just here so we can talk about it together, right? You already know it. But simply know it and choose it and feel how it works for you. So we'll start by breathing together, and then I'll just let us be in like a little silence for a minute or two. Just simple. So let's all inhale and exhale and inhale and exhale and inhale and exhale. No presence. Be simply present. As you're ready, you can emerge back to just attention more to the group. So that's my offering today. And of course, the yoga challenge starts tomorrow. It's only $99 for 25 classes, which I feel like is the bargain of the century. So definitely stop by my website, arielkiley.co, if you want to join in. And you can join starting tomorrow, or if you like decide, if you're like on the fence and you want to join Wednesday, you can really join anytime over the challenge. It goes from October 5th to November 6th. So it takes us through Election Day. All classes will be recorded so you can access them anytime. And also I'll keep them live until December 31st. So you can practice them till the end of the year if you enjoy them. And I'm taking requests and concerns and all kinds of things. So we'll be in communication about what should be in the challenge. We'll build it together. Yeah. But will you please, I'm very curious if you're open to sharing, just feel into what like sparked your interest about our gathering today. Did you have any inner experiences? Did any of the teachings I brought really resonate with you? Like, what piece of this do you want to remember or take forward, or just what was something that stands out to you that you might be open to sharing with the group? If so, will you type it in the chat box so I can read it out loud? Also, if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to share a question. Katrina, I match your sofa. You should be wearing my outfit. How are you? Can I say hi to you?
Yeah, hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
It was really beautiful as you were talking about being present and looking around. These butterflies kept like flying right by in front of my face. It was really lovely.
Yes, wonderful. Where are you located right now?
I'm in Manhattan Beach.
Okay, you're not far from me.
Where are you?
I'm in Beechwood Canyon.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
really pretty there.
All right. Holly Messett saw the butterflies too. Holly, will you tell us how you saw the butterflies? You can type it or you can come on, whatever you want.
They just kept flitting by in her box. They were like going in front of the camera and they just kept, like, you'd see this little thing of yellow.
Oh, you could see it in Katrina's screen?
Yeah. Yeah.
Katrina's the butterfly whisperer.
I think they were hearing you talking and they were just coming over.
That's so fun. I've noticed a lot of butterflies too, like big ones, little ones. There's a lot of butterfly action lately. Anyone else have anything they want to share? I'm really curious. Like, did you vibe with the Miracle of Mindfulness? What did you think about Salvador Poe? Are you curious about him? Do you like Yoga Sutras? Do you think they're a total bummer? Yeah, I'll give it another minute. If you don't want to share, you don't have to, of course.
I know that being present is a very powerful tool, especially in this current world that we live in. So anything that can remind me of that tool, it's a spiritual tool. It's, how to navigate this world that we're living in right now without falling off. So everything you did just was adding to the toolbox. You gave me some new tools today. And I think I can relate strongly to Mr. Poe. So that's something to look forward to reading about. So once again, you've just added to my spiritual toolbox, and I intend to use those tools, because if I just sit in the presence and I'm grateful, that takes care of everything, because I've got everything I need and more.
Thank you so much, David. And when you were speaking, it just reminded me too of how quickly things are changing. And like right now, I think presence is so important too, because the every day new information, every day something's changing. So if we're living in what we perceive yesterday as, or yesterday's newscast, we're not present with how things just pivoted, and we probably pivoted too with them. Okay, I see some great things in the chat box. From James, when I think about being present in an environment, I usually think about nature, but I live in an urban environment, so I don't always know what to think about immersing myself in this environment. It might be interesting to think of your urban environment as nature also. Like the buildings, the streets, the lights, like all of it is a different expression of nature. And like it's so alive, right? Some buildings seem to have consciousness. I just thought of like the Flatiron building. How much personality does that thing have? Like it might be powerful to act as though you're looking at a tree when you're looking at a phone pole, and just like give it that same amount of credit. Worth a try. I love urban environments. Holly says, in the last meditation, I kept trying to name the things I was aware of, sounds, breath, but when the sounds would disappear, I kept thinking about them being there, so aware of not being in the present. Yeah, and ironically, like aware of not being present is being present. So you crushed it, you nailed it, you're there. Debbie said, yes to all. No slouching through awakening. Agreed, very transparent. A peek behind the curtain. Love it. Yeah. Debbie, I was thinking about you when I was thinking about little poems about daily life. Like your life, your relationship to your backyard and the stray kitties that come wanting food is just like an epic poem unto itself. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for joining in live. And I can't wait to see you either tomorrow when we do the yoga challenge or in a month, the first Sunday of each month. I'll keep doing these Let's Breathe together. So I look forward to seeing you soon. Mwah. Bye.
Thanks, Ariel. Namaste.
You're welcome. Namaste.
Thank you.
My pleasure. You're welcome.